Fly me to the moon, and we will take you to the moon. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the chat room, the Mid-Autumn Festival Special Edition. What does the moon mean to you? I think it means very different things in diverse cultures.
Yep.
But in China, it means romance. It means family gathering. Well, it actually has so many layers of different meanings, deeply rooted in our culture. And we will talk it all out in this episode of the chat room. I'm your host today, Li Jingjing. And I'm joined by special co-host, this British gentleman sitting right next to me, David.
Hi everyone. Yeah, my name's David, and isn't this a fantastic place to be watching the moon? I'm so delighted to be here. And as Li Jingjing said, I'm really looking forward to talking to lots and lots of different people today about what their perspective on the moon is, and to talk about this amazing festival, the Mid-Autumn Festival. And who am I? Well, by day, I work for an education company, and I do kind of educational curriculum development and educational publishing. But by night, when the moon comes out, I do some vlogging as well. So on Bilibili and Douyin, I sometimes share some of my random thoughts on things like the Analects, the Lunyu, and things like that, on Chinese culture and stuff.
Yeah, by the way, David knows a lot about Chinese culture. You studied in Oxford and also in Fudan University, right?
That's true, yes. But I still know very little. It's Chinese culture. The more you learn, the more you realize how little you know.
So welcome, David, and you know where to find him on social networks. But besides David, we also have a panel of fantastic guests from different parts of the world joining us online. So, hello guys, how are you? Hi.
Hello.
So we have 4 guests. So how about who should I start introducing? Maybe start with Yidan, lady first.
Hi.
So hi, this is Xiong Yidan. How about tell our viewers more about yourself?
Hi, everyone. This is Idan. I am in Bangkok, Thailand right now. I am a farm stay owner. So right now I'm actually building my farm in a very small mountain city nearby Chiang Mai. I've been in Thailand for 4 years now. Nice to be here.
In Thailand. Wow, I wish I'm in Thailand right now.
Yeah, I do too, yeah.
Pretty cool. And our next guest, Baozi. Hello, Baozi.
Hey, hello everybody. Yeah, nice to be here. My name is Baozi, or also Robert. I'm originally from Germany, and I've been living in China for 5 years now. And at the moment, I'm driving with my car around China and filming the various ethnic groups, which China has a lot of. Filming their lives, their cultures, their traditions, their festivals also, and yeah.
So where are you now, Baozi? You said you're driving around. Where have you reached now?
I've been in many places, but last year I focused on Guizhou province and Yunnan, because there are a lot of minority groups, and what I'm filming, I go more in depth. I already don't know how to speak English because I'm either speaking Chinese.
Yeah, he wants to explain this in Chinese.
Yeah.
更
深入一点是吧? In depth,
taking my time. Because this, as you just said, Chinese culture is a lot. And there are so many groups, they have even more. So it's... I won't finish in this lifetime, but I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Very cool. And the gentleman on this corner, Musa. Hello, Musa. Musa is actually my colleague. And so I will let you to tell our viewers more about yourself.
Well, I've been here in Beijing for about 7 years, mostly working in the journalism industry. And just exploring the culture, growing professionally, having fun right here. Presently, I'm the new media editor at CGTN Digital. That's about it.
Where are you now?
I'm right now at my home in Beijing.
Right. I guess you're wishing you were here on this wonderful beach with us, right?
Absolutely.
Or we all want to go to Thailand to join Yidan.
Yeah.
And
there's a party tomorrow, moon party.
what? There's a party tomorrow?
Moon party. Yeah, hold that because we're going to come to that in just a moment. Yeah.
And
Right.
we also have, last but not the least, Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm from Hanoi, Vietnam, the capital of Vietnam. For the last 12 years, I have been working in marketing, with the past 6 years in fintech marketing. Currently, I'm a manager for a software service agency, and we provide IT service from software development to product marketing. Yes, and very happy to be here.
I know you also speak very good Chinese, very good Mandarin, right?
Yes, I have a lot of customers from Chinese. Yes.
You know what? I'm very impressed by all the guests, also by you, co-host, because all of you know so much about Chinese culture. You traveled extensively to different parts of China, and I know Mandarin is a really hard language to learn, but you all, come on.
Wow.
I'm impressed. I'm grateful that is my mother tongue. Otherwise, I won't be as good as your levels.
Well, I'm sure that's not true. Your English is so amazing. When I first met you today, I didn't even know that it wasn't your first language. So if you've picked up English so incredibly well, I'm sure you would have picked up Chinese really well if it wasn't your first
Well,
language.
thank you. That's enough for our compliments for each other. But this is a show about our introducing the culture of Mid-Autumn Festival. But before we talk it all out, I would like to invite all the viewers who are watching this live stream right now to share your stories about some festivals in your country, in your culture, or is there any festival similar to Mid-Autumn Festival in your country? Or is there some special festival that's very similar to family gathering? Well, share anything about your culture, leave it in the comments. And if you have any questions for my co-host, for our guests today, leave them in the comment section because I will pass all the questions to them and also read your comments, your stories later in this live stream. So, and you can leave the comments in CGTN's Facebook, Twitter, website. You will find us on all these platforms. So, for those of you who are just joining this live stream, this is the chat room live on CGTN, talk about Mid-Autumn Festival. So we are all celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival.
Right.
It's a big deal in China. And I think Mid-Autumn Festival is among several festivals in China that just famously known by people from different cultures.
Yeah, and I always think the thing about Mid-Autumn Festival is, I mean, lots of festivals around the world have long histories, but the history of the Mid-Autumn Festival is just so much longer than almost any other festival in the world. And when you say it has a long history, it actually goes right back before even the beginning of history. You can trace the Mid-Autumn Festival right back to the 2nd millennium BC. So, you know, in the Shang dynasty and the Zhou dynasty, there are lots of those kind of bronze objects which have inscriptions on them which show that people even back then were worshipping the moon, celebrating the harvest, and a lot of the jiaoguwen, you know, the oracle bones also have the character for moon and for harvest. So the amazing thing about the Mid-Autumn Festival for me is just this unbroken line from today right back through to before we can even trace history. And you know, we often talk about, oh, it's celebrating Chang'e, going to the moon, but actually the myth of Chang'e came much, much later than the actual festival. So it's like the festival has always existed, and then there were myths that grew up to explain it. So for me, that's just such an amazing thing that it's a tradition that's just kept on without interruption for so long.
Wow, I can see you're really into Chinese culture and Chinese history, right?
Yeah, I am. And I think the thing about China is so much history here is just lived, you know, continually lived day by day. And it's just it's an amazing thing to be part of, I think.
And there are so many ways to celebrate this holiday. For example, we've been celebrating this holiday since we were kids. And on this day, it's a normal thing that we have a huge family gathering. We sit down. When I was little, when we have still had a yard in our pingfang,
Right, okay.
one-story house.
Yeah.
we will sit in the yard, appreciating the full moon, eating mooncakes, dumplings. Dumplings is just not just for Spring Festival. Every festival eat dumplings.
Right, okay.
So
what did it mean to you when you were young? Did you really look forward to Mid-Autumn Festival? Was it one of the big things in your year, or was it?
It's definitely the festival we know, wow, there's gonna be good food.
Right.
Big feast.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
But it's really, later in my life, I realized you are connecting all the dots you learn about from your culture. For example, you mentioned the Chang'e story. I think many people know Chinese story about going to the moon. It's from Chang'e because in this fairy tale, this lady ate some magical medicine.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
she got the ability to fly,
Yeah.
fly to the moon and stuck on the moon with a jade rabbit.
Yes.
That's the story.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the first story of Chinese people wanting to go to the moon.
Right. Yeah.
And now we're finally doing it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's an amazing heritage. I'm also interested though, when you were young, were there any ceremonies that you had? Was there any like leaving food for the moon goddess, or was there any kind of ceremonies, or was it more just being with family, looking at the moon and
in
enjoying?
my family, no. But I know people from different parts of China, they have very different ways to celebrate not just Mid-Autumn Festival, also Spring Festival.
Yeah.
People from Northern China, Southern China have very different ways.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like
we're just going to think Baozi. We should bring in Baozi, shouldn't we? Yeah. So have your travels taken you to any parts of China where you've seen the Mid-Autumn Festival being celebrated in some unique or unusual way?
Well, the problem is the Mid-Autumn Festival only happens once a year, but the minority groups, there's so many, so
right. So you can't always be that with every minority group at that time of year. Yeah.
You have to be like at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Like last year, I was in Guizhou, and on the same time when the Mid-Autumn Festival is celebrated, they have another festival. Like the group, like the minority groups, they both celebrate like the standard Chinese festivals, but they also have their own from their own culture. And on the same day, they celebrate the Fish King festival. Like they all, because it's always also related to the harvest, because they they have a lot of rice paddies and also the rice terraces, like where they grow rice in like many levels.
Yeah.
And after all the rice is like harvested, they have the empty fields, and while they are growing the rice, they're also growing fish inside the paddies. And when the rice isn't in the way anymore, they can catch the fish. So like, it's also related to the harvest, not much to the moon, but to the other part of the autumn festival, which is harvest. So they have a big celebration, and they all get in the muddy water, mostly like more like younger adults. And they have a mud fight, and then they try to catch the biggest fish.
Wow.
And who wins? Who catches the biggest fish? Is the Fish King.
Yeah.
And he gets like a whole pig as a gift. And then in the evening, the whole village comes to his home to eat. So it's also about the gathering. And like where I went for, like, it's not just family, how is it called, like the close family, like fathers or something, but like the whole village is the family.
Did you manage to be the Fish King? Did you catch the biggest fish while you were there?
I caught some very big fish, two, like this size.
Two tiny
size.
fish, right? Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe not Fish King, but like fish peasant or something like that.
So is there a word for the person who catches the smallest fish then? Is he kind of the fish worm or something? Or but it's actually, because I was thinking you're right. I mean, obviously Mid-Autumn Festival, it's got these two aspects, it's harvest and the moon. And although, Mid-Autumn Festival just happens once a year, but we do have kind of 12 full moons every year. I just wondered, on your travels, did you ever find any other customs or habits that were associated just with the moon or with the full moon, whether or not it was mid-autumn or not? So I'm probably putting you
a
on
lot
the
of
spot there.
No, it's okay. Like the festivals, they are also like the date is determined by the moon, but it's not that the festival is related. Like the topic is not the moon, but the date of the topic is related to the moon. So yes, it has some impact. Yeah.
Interesting, but I know there's some different parts of different countries.
Yeah.
They celebrate something similar to Mid-Autumn Festival. Maybe they celebrate it in different ways because Chinese people migrated to different continents from a very early time ago. So we have Chinese descendants. They celebrate some similar festivals, but in different ways.
I think, well, just talking, because I'm British, so in the UK, we actually used to have harvest festivals at around the same time as Mid-Autumn Festival. We had this festival called Lamastide, which now no one's really heard of anymore, but we also had a festival called Michaelmas or Michaelmas. And, there's also just a festival called the Harvest Festival. And I think what's really a shame about some of these older English festivals is that when the sort of industrial revolution came and huge numbers of people left the countryside and kind of worked in factory jobs in the big cities, a lot of these kind of festivals that are connected to the turn of the seasons and the agricultural way of life were just completely lost. And again, that's what's so precious about Mid-Autumn Festival. It's one of these really ancient festivals that's tied to the seasons, whereas a lot of those kind of festivals in Europe and in the UK have just been lost. They used to exist, but we have kind of lost our link to that kind of older, more quiet, more kind of reflective way of life, being connected to the moon, the seasons, the harvests. We don't really have so many festivals like that anymore.
I think that's part of the process of urbanization, or just because people slowly, gradually forgot their traditions. Busy working, busy living. But I think it's important for all of us just to keep our traditions. I think it's very precious. And then, by the way, all the guys, because I'm wondering, is there any other similar festivals in your culture, in your country, similar to Mid-Autumn Festival? It doesn't have to be related to the moon, but and if I ask you to share one culture from your one festival from your culture, which festival would you recommend? How about I go to Musa?
Hey, actually there are quite a lot of festivals that are celebrated in Pakistan which has a relevance to the moon. Not exactly the moon festival, I would say, because there is no moon worshipping per se involved. But like if Chinese New Year and the Moon Festival, if they are considered to be the two biggest festivals in China, in Pakistan it will be Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. And the way they are connected with moon is very interesting. So what happens is that moon acts as a messenger of happiness for the people of Pakistan, because these festivals are basically celebrated, like Eid al-Fitr is celebrated on the 1st of the 10th month, and on the 1st of the 10th month, and Eid al-Adha is celebrated on the 10th of the 12th lunar month. So whenever the moon comes out, basically, it is an intimation, it is a message that Eid is now here. And the night the night of the first moon, people come out to celebrate. There are women and children who go out to the markets. They all buy new clothes. There are feasts going all around the place. Then the women put henna on their hand to celebrate it. And all these festivities and celebrations are basically very closely linked to the sight of the moon. And even this night before the Eid, it is actually called Chandrat, which could be called something like the night of the moon, you can say, the night before Eid. So the moon has a lot of emotional connection with people. And not just in Pakistan, in India and the Muslim communities around the world who ever celebrate Eid. Because it is a festival that basically the date is decided based on, even in China, basically. The dates of the Eid are decided based on the lunar sighting. So that's quite a lot of significance. And then also the Hindu community in Pakistan and also in India, they celebrate this very interesting festival, which could be, deemed closer to the moon festival, you can say. It is called Karwa Chauth. Now, what happens in this festival is that, according to some accounts, it actually has roots in harvests. It's like the time of the wheat sowing and praying for harvest. But the interesting activity that happens, in a very solemn one on this occasion, is that a lot of married women basically fast on that day to pray for the health of their husbands or their loved ones, and they fast from sunrise to moonrise. So they wait the entire day anxiously for the moon to appear, because it is only after the moon appears, and it is only after they look at the moon, that they can actually break their fast and eat and celebrate, and the festivities begin.
Wow.
So, and speaking of the date of the moon festival, it is quite a coincidence that the 8th month on the lunar calendar and the 15th day is celebrated in China as the moon festival. But some of the Muslim communities in Pakistan, they celebrate another festival on the same date, which is called Shab-e-Barat. It has more religious significance, and people pray on that night. They pray for happiness, for prosperity. I won't go into the religious details right now, but it falls on the same date. The only difference is that communities in Pakistan, they follow a purely lunar calendar. So the dates are decided purely according to the lunar cycle, whereas in China, it is a lunisolar calendar, or the traditional Chinese lunar calendar. Mm-hmm. So they don't quite fall, on the same date per se, but it is still a lunar month, and the celebrations are there. And despite their religious connotations, they are celebrated by all communities. It is just like Christmas, you can think of, that even if it has some kind of religious background, people from all communities celebrate it. The shopping malls go up. They have sales all around, people have feasts, there's family gathering, and even some of the festivals like Karwa Chauth that I mentioned, the farmers also pray for good harvest, and it's time for sowing and all. So these are a couple of festivals that I could share.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And this idea of different calendars, there's lunar calendars, solar calendars, and I think you were saying then there are these lunar solar calendars. So we should really think of the Chinese calendar not as a lunar calendar, but as a lunar solar calendar. Is that right?
That's right. It's a lunisolar calendar. There's an I in the middle. So it's because the lunar and the solar cycle are not quite the same.
Right.
Like there's always approximately a 10-day difference. So in China, after a couple of years, you add a 13th month. Right. That's why you see that the Moon Festival and the Spring Festival and all the Chinese festival, they almost fall around the same time every year. But in a purely lunar calendar, it doesn't quite happen like that. There's a 10-day gap every day. So like I remember that some of the festivals celebrating in winter that we celebrated as kids. Now we celebrate it in summer. Right. And the entire feeling of it and its association with the moon has all quite changed.
Right.
Like I remember the night of the moon being very chilly, and we all, wearing these very heavy jackets and, to come out for sighting the moon and finding where the moon is so that we can celebrate Eid. Whereas now it's more like we're out in a hot night looking for the moon. Right. So that's also how the change in the calendar and the moon sighting, how the calendars impact all that.
Interesting. And I think the festival you mentioned, based on the lunar calendar, are being celebrated in many Arabic countries, right? Muslim countries.
Yes, absolutely. Muslims around the world celebrate Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha because essentially it is a religious festival. But because the Muslim community is pretty large and they belong to different cultures, so the way they celebrate it differs. Like the way you will celebrate Eid in Pakistan will be slightly different how you celebrate it in the Arab world, for instance. The feast, the family gathering, the clothes you wear, the traditions would change. But the religious significance basically unites them. And the significance of the moon remains pretty much the same, because no matter where you are, you cannot begin celebrating Eid unless you sight the moon.
Right. What if it's a cloudy day and the moon doesn't appear?
You've asked a very interesting question. Because in Pakistan, actually, there are lots of controversies and there's a conflicts going on between different groups. And different organizations.
So yes. Some people will say if you can't actually see it, even if you know it's there, you know it's behind the clouds, but you can't see it, you still can't break your fast. Is that right?
moon got nothing to do with breaking the fast, but like Eid al-Fitr ends in the month of Ramadan. So the next day you're going to fast or not is decided by the moon sighting. It's more like that.
Got it.
But what happens is that for example, in northern Pakistan, some people would say that, oh, we have sighted the moon. Whereas the southern part of the country where the horizon changes, people still have not sighted the moon.
Got it.
So the next day, what will happen is that some of the people will be saying that, no, today we need to fast because it's not Eid yet. Whereas some of the people will be like, oh, no, we saw the moon, so it's supposed to be Eid.
Right.
Well, of course, there are governmental mechanisms to solve this conflict, and a unanimous date is announced on more scientific basis. But this conflict still exists, and it's pretty interesting.
It's very interesting to learn how the Arabic countries, Arabic world celebrate the holidays related to lunar calendar. But I know like you celebrated this similar holiday but in different ways. But I think in Southeast Asia, East Asia is the same. So how about we move to Southeast Asia, and we have two guests in Thailand and Vietnam. And I know you probably celebrate similar holidays, but in very different ways, right? How about we go to Eden? You're in Thailand. How do people in Thailand celebrate this holiday?
So we do have a very big Chinese community in Thailand. So Thailand has the largest Chinese immigration in Southeast Asia. So that's why there are many Chinese, mostly elder Chinese. They very respect the Middle Autumn spirit and all the traditions that they brought from China, and such as pay tribute to their ancestors. Even the food that they prepare, such as shoutao, the peach, it's also the same like what Chinese would do actually back in China. So this part is very much similar to what our parents or grandparents used to do. Just like my hometown, we used to host this type of ceremonies or ritual to pay tribute to the gods, like Guan Yin, Wanmu Nyangnya, all these Buddhas, all these gods, and also to our ancestors. So this is that part of the community, how they celebrate their Mid-Autumn Festival. But there's another type of the community. There are people who's local Thai people. For them, I would say the closest holiday to Mid-Autumn is probably Louis Vuitton, which happens on the last full moon every year. So around beginning of every year, March or February. That is probably one of the biggest holidays every year in Thailand. And usually it's also being called Sky Lantern Festival or Floating Lantern Festival. So people would release the lanterns. I think many Chinese probably seen those photos with millions of sky lanterns in the sky. And it's really beautiful. And people would usually write their wishes on top of the sky lantern. And then it's kind of representing you're delivering your wish to the moon and hope someone up there can hear you. Yeah, so this is mostly the two ways being celebrated here from the different groups.
Very interesting. Do you want to? Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I also wanted to ask, I know you say, I remember talking before the program that there's a lot of Mid-Autumn festivals in Thailand, that every time there's a full moon, there's a kind of celebration.
That one is the one for party animals.
Right.
Oh, tell us more about it. We are all party animals for sure.
So it's actually happening on an island called Koh Phangan in the south of Thailand. So every full moon of every month, they will have a party on that island. And this month it's actually happening tomorrow. So
are you gonna go?
It's probably.
You're on that island now, are you? Is that where you're?
I'm in Bangkok right now. If I'm not having that many farm work to do, I will probably love to check it out actually.
Okay.
Imagine you have a big party every month.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
So great. We need it.
Yeah.
We need it here. Come on.
Yeah. It's a very crazy party. It attracts people actually from all different worlds every year. And they used to have thousands of people who's celebrating, on the beach with the big moon on the ocean. and with all the music, dancing, and everything. So it's quite amazing.
Wow. We
But
have a
in the
big
north,
moon.
where your farm says, you
Huh?
don't celebrate the parties, like in the north of Thailand. You don't celebrate those.
Sorry? No, the island is on the north of Thailand.
I mean, like where your farm says, you don't have this custom to make a big party there, right?
From my village, because we don't really have that many Chinese in my village. So I actually asked around my villagers, like if they actually celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival. Many of them they don't celebrate that because they don't have like Chinese ancestors. But there is a village north, 30 minutes drive from my village. Mid-Autumn is actually a very big one for them because that town is basically like a Chinatown. You can see Chinese signs everywhere, and people there, they speak Chinese. A lot of them, they speak Yunnan dialect, but because many of them, they're the second, third, or even fourth generation of people who used to move from Yunnan to Thailand, because it's right on the borderline of Myanmar and China and Thailand. So that's why they have like a really big celebration over there. It's actually happening tonight. But the time is conflicted with the live streaming tonight, so I couldn't really
Wow.
go. Yeah, but they have also like this dancing, singing, and all this traditional ceremonies and everything happening.
Sorry, we stopped you from dancing.
Yeah. Thank you for giving us time on such a special day. Yeah.
And we
It's my
have
pleasure.
we have one more guest from Southeast Asia, Sarah. So how do people in Vietnam celebrate such holiday?
Yes, my country, Vietnam, shares quite a similar culture to China. And we have a Mid-Autumn Festival on August 15 of the lunar calendar as well. Just like in China, the Vietnamese Mid-Autumn Festival is a moon festival and an occasion for us to spend time with our friend, our loved one. That's not to say the Mid-Autumn Festival is Vietnam is completely identical, though we actually have some rather interesting differences. Yes, while the Mid-Autumn Festival also very important in Vietnam, it's not significant as it in China. In Vietnam, the Mid-Autumn Festival is not a public holiday. We still have to go to work all day during the festival. And the only time for fun activity will be after work or during the nearest weekend. Yes, and we celebrate it with the entire family. And the focus of the Vietnamese festival is children. Yes, and we always we Mid-Autumn Lantern in Vietnam. We also often design to be carried and played with by children. Yes, and Vietnam we have hundreds of festivals. Some regions even have their own sets of custom, song, clothing, or dishes. But Mid-Autumn Festival in Vietnam by far the largest. Yeah. In Vietnam, the Mid-Autumn Festival was once an event to celebrate a good dry harvest and a time to join together to look at the moon and to have a time together with family and friends.
What about food on the Mid-Autumn Festival in Vietnam? Do mooncakes play a part in your celebrations there?
Yeah, we very simple with an offering at the family shrine, hot tea, and Vietnamese mooncake. Yes, we have some mooncake that are similar to the Chinese one, with many selling Chinese Chinese style.
But some do you also have Vietnamese mooncakes that are different?
it is hard to it is a little complicated, so we just go outside to buy mooncake. Yes,
okay.
and yes.
Okay,
Ah.
great.
You mentioned food.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very important topic.
Yes.
The most important thing about every festival is having a huge feast.
Yeah.
You're like eating is the most important because we have a special food for every holiday. For Spring Festival, we have dumplings,
Yeah.
饺子. For a Dragon Boat Festival, we have 粽子.
Yeah.
For the Lantern Festival, we have 元宵 or 汤圆儿.
Yeah.
And for Mid-Autumn Festival, we have mooncakes, of
Mooncakes,
course.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I'm wondering, here's the question for all of you. Here's the question for all of you. What's the weirdest festive food that you ever ate before? How about we start with you, David?
Well, I remember once being told that one of the traditional foods for Mid-Autumn Festival is tianluo, which is this kind of small tianluo, it's kind of
like a
small
snail,
a sort of sea snail, but very small. And I mean, I actually quite like them. They're very nice when you can work out how to get the meat out from them. But that was, I suppose, a little bit strange. But I've certainly had some strange things inside mooncakes. I remember now I don't think it's strange anymore, but when I first came to China and I was first given a mooncake and I was eating it and it tasted sweet and really nice, and then suddenly in the middle there was an egg yolk. And now that seems just normal to me, but I remember it was quite sort of surprising because the egg yolk was quite salty, I seem to remember, and I suddenly, having this sweet...
What is this?
Yeah, what is this? So,
How many years ago?
well, I first came to China about 18 years ago, so so I had to think back, to what my first impression of mooncake. I remember also mooncake. Sometimes they have kind of like very stringy type of maybe slightly fishy flavored thing, but there are interesting flavors in mooncakes. That's all I would say. And sometimes, certainly when I first had mooncakes, I would suddenly get a flavor that was, unusual or,
Is this salty or is this sweet?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Confusing.
Yeah.
Because we do have sweet mooncakes and salty mooncakes.
Yeah.
So the sweet ones, you have a lot of sugar stuff or walnuts, this kind of stuff
Yeah.
in it. But then you also have very salty mooncakes, like egg yolk,
Yeah.
meat. Now people put beef into mooncakes
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
But still, even the beef mooncake tastes a little bit sweet. So
Yeah.
even I got a little bit confused.
Yeah.
Are you a dessert or are you like...
Yeah, they kind of play with your categories, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I used to live in Shanghai, and Shanghai has a type of mooncake which is completely different. I mean, it's round, but it's also it's sort of filled with meat, and
Yes.
I don't know what you call them exactly, but they have a very different type of pastry. And
I ate it last year while I was
Right.
in Shanghai. That was my first time to eat this type of mooncake.
Right.
And I'm Chinese.
Okay.
I'm like, what? This is mooncake? Because
Yeah.
I'm from northern China. Northern China has very different culture in almost every festival, everything from the southern China. So yeah, last year was my first time I ate this. I think inside it's all meat.
That's right. And
Right?
it's got a kind of pastry that is, I think, a bit sort of softer and more flaky, and it's not quite that northern mooncake, sort of harder, more chewy type of texture. Yeah.
Okay, so what about you guys? Baozi, what's the weirdest festival food you ever had?
Well, I actually made the same experience as David in my first year in China. Like I think the first mooncake I had was like mung bean. Like it was all mung bean, so there was no special filling except mung bean. And then I had like this traditional one. I have one right in front of me because it's the Moon Festival, right? I have them around this time. I eat them like 24/7. Yeah, it's a mooncake.
Oh,
And yeah, I was biting and then enjoying the filling. It was very tasty. And then suddenly the egg yolk comes and like, what is this? And why is it so salty? And then I pulled it out. Like the first year, I pulled all the egg yolks out and just ate the sweets outside. But now I enjoy it because the combination of sweets and something surprising salty is actually quite nice.
Yeah.
But this year I made another mooncake discovery, like what you just mentioned, beef something. It was bacon.
Oh,
like
really?
Bacon.
Bacon.
Yeah,
Cake. sort of.
Smoked
Right.
bacon inside a mooncake.
Wow.
And
was that a
it's still
sweet
strange.
mooncake? I mean, was that sort of again sweet and then suddenly bacon in the middle, or was
Yeah,
it?
I don't know. It's like
Or was it a savory mooncake?
it's like savory but sweet, so it's a little bit
Sweet
strange. Like if
bacon,
it was
though.
full savory,
So
it
sweet
would be
bacon.
pretty
Sweet
nice.
bacon, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it sounds like then the next thing will
Um,
have to be a mooncake with eggs and bacon in the side, and then you can have the full English breakfast in the middle of it.
Yeah, actually, a few
Put
years
the
ago,
full
I
English
made
breakfast into a mooncake. Yeah, continue.
I made some. Yeah, I made some mooncakes myself, and I put like garlic in it.
Garlic.
Like garlic
Garlic.
mooncake.
Wow. So
Yeah,
you're
because
responsible
I made
for a new. This is a new invented. Was this something you learnt from one of an ethnic minority, or was this your own invention? Have you invented a new type of
no,
mooncake?
that was before. Like I was making like short videos, shopping, and then I made some like funny combination of the traditional shape of the mooncake with a sponge filling, which tastes interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it taste
Well, it
good?
wasn't that expensive. It's spicy. It's very spicy. Garlicky.
Wow, you're
Good-
turning
good
into
for
a
the
Chinese.
health.
Yeah. Eventually you would put Sichuan food into a mooncake, Hunan food into a mooncake.
Yeah.
Being adventurous.
Mian, yeah, samurai man, yeah.
Yeah.
But last year, I actually, because we are just talking about mooncakes, like that's everybody knows the Mid Autumn Festival. We love to eat mooncake. But when I was in Guizhou, I said on the same day I have another festival, and on that day I ate like cow stomach, and then like the sauce was like stomach acid.
Well,
So it was
cow
like and it
stomach
was
mooncake.
No, it's not mooncake. It was just a dish, like a
Right,
special
a dish. Sorry.
that
Yeah. Okay. Right.
because it's like they don't eat it every day. It's just for special occasions, because a cow is very expensive to them. So it's just like on like a big festival, and they give it only to like special guests. And yeah, it's that was
Interesting. What about the
interesting.
other?
Like it has acidic taste and like
Yeah.
chewy.
What about
Yeah.
you guys?
Interesting.
Ethan, what's the weirdest food for festivals that you ever tried?
It's probably weird for Chinese, but it's not really weird here. Durian mooncake. It's very.
Sounds great.
I think. Yeah, so I guess people who love durian would love it too. It's a very actually Thai type of durian, but I love it a lot because I'm a big fan of durian.
Yeah. Me too. Actually, I love
Me
durian.
too. But you know what? I never tried durian mooncakes, but I know durian pizza tastes pretty awesome.
Oh wow.
I know this
too.
probably gonna upset a lot of Italians. I'm sorry, my Italian friends who are watching this live stream. I'm sorry, Italians who are watching this live stream, but durian pizza is a big deal in Asia. And
Yeah, I think I've had it.
Good.
I think I've had it in Southeast Asian restaurants. Yeah, like a little pizza with durian on top. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, durian's a strange
Actually,
thing.
I've seen
Yeah, so go ahead.
More
Yes.
durian in China than Thailand. I think it's quite weird. I think it's more popular. Durian pizza is more popular in China than Thailand. Here, Thailand, we actually I don't see that many creative dishes or desserts that's made from durian. People just normally buy durian directly as fruits and then eat it.
Right.
But they don't make into so many different ways like Chinese do. I think Chinese are more creative on that actually.
Right.
Interesting. Okay, how about Sarah? What's your
Yeah.
answer?
Yes, the weirdest festival food I have eaten is snail too. Yes,
Snail.
and the weirdest mooncake I have ever eaten will be fruit jam mooncake. Yes, it is so sweet to me.
Right.
Yes, and in Hoi An, a famous port city in the middle of Vietnam, we often eat snail, especially women and young people, as a snack. And we eat during festivity. Snail are actually very popular all around Vietnam, and we have hundreds of ways to prepare them, from stir frying with butter to green them with spicy and onion. And snails actually are weird to many foreigners, but they are delicious. I personally love eating them, but actually it's a little bit weird when it's a festival. Yes, and often in Vietnam we don't make our mooncake since it's quite complicated. So we either buy them or give them by family, so friend and colleagues. One time I was given a mooncake with a super sweet fruit filling. It was like eating a surprise food candy, and the jam spilled everywhere. Where the mooncake ever for me?
Interesting. So Musa, what about you? Do you have some really strange stories as well?
I must agree with David on the meat filling, though. That certainly is the weirdest mooncake that I've had. Sweet pastry with savory filling just don't go together where I'm from. But there is one mooncake that I dare not eat, but I found it to be the weirdest. So at this place, I came across a mooncake that had a noodle filling. So you actually had instant noodle boiled and stuffed into a mooncake. I think by far that was the weirdest mooncake I had ever seen. I did not eat, but the ones I've eaten, it was certainly the meat one.
Gosh, instant noodle boiled in, wow, that's
What?
amazing. Instant noodles inside a mooncake. Actually, one thing Sarah was saying, in Vietnam people don't make their own mooncakes. I don't know anyone who makes their own mooncakes. Do you, Jing? Have you ever heard of anyone making their own mooncakes at home?
No, it's so complicated.
Yeah.
It's really, really complicated.
I think it's very complicated.
Yeah, I think, if you made mooncakes at home, you'd be a really talented baker, I would say.
Indeed. I know, like, making dumplings are rather easier, but we don't even really make dumplings ourselves nowadays.
Well, some people do, yeah. That I've had people, I know people who make their own dumplings, but yeah, mooncakes, that would be something quite special, I think.
Yeah. So, okay, I think the common thing that several of you shared is very confusing to have meat and sweet inside of one thing, right?
Yeah. As I say, they kind of challenge your boundaries, mooncakes. They're beyond categorization, but I think that's what's wonderful about them as well. They really, each one is a surprise. And in fact, I recently, just the other day, you now get so many different types of mooncakes and sort of luxury mooncakes as well. I saw an advertisement the other day for truffle. The French love this mushroom, the songlu, I think in Chinese, songlu mooncake. So mooncakes really have become a fine art now in sort of culinary circles. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
But you know what? About a Mid-Autumn Festival, of course we have so many traditions, customs to do it. But I think I noticed we almost have fairy tales to almost every festival, and we mentioned a little bit in the beginning of this live stream because the biggest fairy tale we share here about Mid-Autumn Festival is Chang'e.
Yeah.
We have satellites
now called the
named
Chang'e satellites. Yeah.
Because that's a story we heard since we were kids. This lady ate this medicine and she got the ability to fly to the moon.
Yeah.
And stuck there, kind of like a punishment.
Yeah.
Because she's living alone on the moon all by herself. But this is the fairy tale we've been learning, that human can fly to another planet to explore. So I'm wondering, earlier before you all shared this unique festival, unique ways to celebrate this holiday. So is there unique fairy tales as well to this holiday or to a specific?
Well, I think in Europe and in England, there's not so much we don't really have a Mid-Autumn Festival, but we do have lots of stories about the moon. But often these stories are rather negative. We have things like werewolves, humans which, they become they kind of sort of go mad in the moon, and when they see the moon. And then we have words like lunatic, which actually comes from the Latin word luna, which means moon. So there's this kind of strange idea that the moon in the West is this kind of dark, kind of evil, slightly sinister thing, which makes people go mad, or it brings out evil. And I always find it fascinating. In China, it's got such a different image. It's something of beauty. You look at it, and like some of those famous poems like Du Fu and so on, you're watching the moon and you know that your family or your wife who's far away is watching the same moon. It's got this kind of sense of connecting people together. Whereas in the West, the moon gets a rather bad reputation, I think.
Yeah, but I think werewolf is kind of cool thing. I suppose it's evil.
I suppose so, yeah.
But it's interesting you mentioned in the Western culture, moon is always related to something evil. But here, I think in China, at least in China, it's always something about romance, quite romantic. Some poems wrote about it.
Yeah.
There's a very famous fairy. We call them Yue Lao, who is the famous, most important, the god of matchmaker. So he is the ultimate matchmaker that will help everyone on the planet to find the right person for you. And he will connect both of you with this red rope.
Wow.
So his name is Yue Lao, moon god.
Right. Wow.
And we have romantic song. 月亮代表我的心.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know this song? I think almost everybody know this song, right?
Yeah.
How to sing?
你问我爱你有多深?
Yeah.
And so on, yeah.
And you know what? Every time, every country I go, I think when they heard, oh, you're Chinese, and they will start to sing this song to me.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. That's the song everybody from different countries know. I think one time I went to Vietnam, and the locals find out, oh, you're actually Chinese. At first they thought I'm Vietnamese. But then when they realize I'm Chinese, all of them, several guys, several fishermen, they start to sing this song together to me.
Right.
It's very interesting. Suddenly, foreign countries, several foreigners said I love you to you. But it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But are there any other fairy tales in your country? So who wants to share? Who wants to share the first?
I can share.
Okay, sure.
We do have a traditional fairy tale. I found it's quite interesting, but it's still very similar as I think it's still from Chinese cultural, but I actually never heard of this when I was in China. So the god of Guanyin is actually a very popular god in Thailand as well, because it's the god of compassion, of mercy. So you can basically see the statue of Guanyin everywhere in Thailand. We have a lot of Guanyin shrines, and people really respect Guanyin a lot. We have actually a legend about Guanyin for specifically Mid-Autumn Festival. It's also the reason why people use Shoutao peach to actually use during the ceremonies. They say the legend is about the the 8 gods, 8 fairy tales, fairies in China, that they on this day, every year, they will actually bring peach to Guanyin as a tribute. So that's the legend I've heard in Thailand, but I never really heard it in China before.
Very interesting. Musa, any interesting stories from Pakistan?
Yeah, there are quite a lot actually. Not really fairy tales, but subtle references in poetry, in lullabies, in romantic declamations, and things like that. Like I remember that as a kid, my mother would sing a few lullabies that would involve the moon, and then sometimes it would even like when you're talking about the moon to a kid, it would even refer to the moon as uncle. Like we would say that, Uncle Moon is there, Uncle Moon is watching you. And then there would be this story about an old lady, there's in children's literature, there would be this old lady who lives on the moon, and she has a spinning wheel, and it is because of the spinning wheel that all the clouds are being churned out of it. Things like that. And there are also quite a lot of romantic connotations in poetry associated with the moon. Like a lot of poets would compare the face of one beloved, the brightness and the luminance of one's beloved with that of the moon, and just things like that.
Okay. Wow, that sounds amazing. And I think with all of this talk of the moon, we are planning to go to the moon. Is that right?
Yes. You know what? We talk about so much about moon, and we talk about the ancient fairy tales and people wishing to go to the moon. So, okay, if we really have this opportunity to go to the moon, okay, how about this?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. There are so many questions. So how about this, right?
Yes.
If you can bring one item from the Earth to the moon, if someone give you the opportunity to fly to the moon, what item would you choose?
Yeah, and while you're all thinking about that, I think we've got some questions, don't we? Because before we go to the moon, we've got to make sure that our moon travelers know a lot about the moon, right? So
we ask around on the streets.
So while you're thinking about what item you're going to take to the moon, shall we start the quiz?
We start the quiz now.
Start the quiz. Okay. So question number 1 is there gravity on the moon? Are we? Yes, does the moon have gravity? Yes, I got it. Yeah. Yes or no? Does the moon have gravity?
Yes.
Okay. So we have several questions, fun facts about the moon. So if you think the answer is yes, show me this sign. If you think the answer is wrong, no, show me this sign. Okay. So we just show you the first question. So let's go to the first question. What's your answer? Does the moon have gravity? Yes or no? Show me your sign. Okay, 3 people think there's gravity. Eden thinks no. Okay.
And the answer is?
Shall we show the answer? The answer is yes. Like the Earth, the moon has gravity, but the moon's gravity is weaker. Only 1/6 of the Earth's gravity, in fact. Only 1/6.
Right.
That means you need to weigh much less if you were to stand on the moon. So we are too heavy.
Right.
On the moon. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I wonder how many of you who are
Certainly a good way to lose weight, yeah.
I think you need to lose a dramatic amount of weight to be on the moon, right?
I guess you would, yeah.
Okay, how many of you who are watching this live stream got this answer? So don't fool us. So remember to leave your comments and your questions for our guests in the comment section. We will read it out later in this live stream. So now let's go to the second question. Second question. How long does it take the moon to orbit the Earth once? How long?
Wow.
I don't know. So shall we take a look at this answer? Okay, we got 2 answers. So maybe show me okay, well, let's see the answer A.
Answer A, 1 finger. Answer B, 2 fingers. Shall we do that?
Yeah, sure. That's simple. We don't need to thumbs or cross, right? You all got your answer? Sarah, what's your answer?
Wow, a split vote here. So let's see.
I really don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be about a month, isn't it? Because obviously a month. But yeah, okay. So it's only 27 days. Yeah. Interesting. So our month is a bit longer than
the moon orbits the Earth every 27.32 days. Ooh,
interesting.
Did you know this answer before?
I didn't actually know that. I mean, I guessed it was going to be about a month, and a month is 30 days, but I didn't know it was so much shorter than 30 days. Yeah. So interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you guys know? Okay, so who got it right? I think it's Ida and Sarah, right? How do you know? How do you know the answer?
I did my homework when I was actually preparing for the live stream.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. Right.
Okay. So very interesting. We really learned something about the science, about the world. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the third question. Do we have the third question? Yes. Third. Does the moon always show us the same face? Yes or no? Does the moon always show us the same face? Yes? Yes? Wow.
Right, okay, so we've got agreement on this, but are they right? Let's have a look.
Oh,
Yes,
yes!
okay.
Because as the moon orbits the Earth, the sun lights up different parts of its surface. So it's just overview of the moon that change.
Right.
Really interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
But I do know that. Okay, interesting. So those of you who are watching this live stream, have you got the answer right? How many? We got 3 questions already. How many you got correct? You're learning something with us in this live stream. So let's go to the 4th question. Is the moon drifting away from the Earth?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I hope not.
Is the moon drifting away from the Earth? Yes or no? Yes? Idan and Baozi, have you made your decision? No?
Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot how to say no.
Idan? Oh, I think Idan just got lose the connection with us. I think she will come back. Our producer will try to get her back on
She'll
the show.
meet us on the moon, yeah.
Or maybe she just,
Yeah,
I don't
she's
know the
gone
answer.
ahead, yeah.
Idan's like, I don't know the answer. I'm quitting this game. But, okay, so I'm going to count her as like not losing the game. So it's a yes. The moon is moving approximately 3.8 centimeters away from our planet every year.
Wow, that's
Every
interesting. I
year.
never knew that. I never knew that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know the answer. Okay, Ida is back. Hello.
Sorry.
I think the question was too difficult for you, right? That's why you quit. You left the Zoom.
Yeah, trying to cheat. Sorry.
It's okay, but have you get the answer? Do you think it's yes or no?
Oh, I didn't see the question actually.
Okay, no worries. But the answer is the moon is drifting away from our Earth. Do you know that? But I don't know the distance, how much there is slowly drifting away, but I know it's definitely moving away. It cannot be getting closer. Otherwise, we'll be thinking of a way to run away with our Earth,
Right, I guess so, yeah. I was thinking it's a shame if it's going away, but I guess it's better for it to be going away than coming closer. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and especially we have a movie called Wandering Earth. That is about when another planet gonna hit the Earth. What are we gonna do?
Okay, yeah.
So we're just gonna take the Earth with us.
Right.
So if the moon is getting closer to us, we will try to figure out a way to carry the Earth, run with us. So very interesting. Okay, let's go to the next question. Does the moon have seasons? Yes or no? Does the moon have seasons? Have you got the answer? Those of you who are watching this live stream from different parts of the world, have you got the answers? All of our guests think no.
I think no as well. Maybe I'm just going with the crowd.
Okay, let's find out the answer. No! The moon doesn't experience noticeable seasons. Some areas in the moon are always lit by sunlight, and other places are perpetually draped in shadow. Interesting. The moon doesn't have seasons.
Right.
We probably have different seasons in the same day. Because when there's sunlight, it's warm, but when there's no sunlight, it's super, super freezing.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can count it as 4 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope we also learned something. So let's go to our next question. Question 6. Guess which country was the first to receive footage of man's first step on the moon? Wow.
Right, and I guess we're going to have to get our contestants to speak now. We're not going to be able to invent sign language for every country in the world, I think.
Yeah.
So
you can just shout out the name.
Shout out
the name of the country. Okay. Which country you think is the first one?
America.
America, from Idan.
Like the
America
question
too, from me.
who first got the footage, right? It's not like who
The footage?
first. Made the
footstep.
footage.
Yes, the footage. So
Well,
Sorry,
Yeah.
can I change my answer?
hard
Probably
question.
Russian.
Yeah, I've maybe.
okay, Ida
Cause
just
like
changed
it's
her
in
answer
the-
to Russia, right? Baozi, what's
in
your
the space
answer?
station here. Yeah, I also go for Russia because it has a twist, like plot twist. I go for Russia. Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, what did you say? Which country you choose?
America first, man.
America.
So good.
Okay, we got America, we got Russia. Musa, what's your answer?
I think it should be the US.
The US. I think all the answers is okay, just between the United States and Russia. They are though among the first ones who landed on the moon, of course. But is that really the answer? Let's find out the answer together.
The last school holidays, I took my two boys to a place in New South Wales called The Dish. And The Dish is actually a satellite dish. It's very big. It's huge. And it was the place that was sent the signal from the moon when man first walked on the moon. And on the moon, like they sent the signal to Australia, to the dish, and then the signal was sent from the dish to America. So in actual fact, Australia had pictures of man walking on the moon before America.
The answer
There you have it.
is Australia.
Australia. Wow.
Wow, we
That's
all got
right.
it wrong.
Okay. Yes, we all got it wrong.
We all got it
Okay.
wrong. Australia was the first country to got footage of the moon. Very surprising. I think many of you probably also don't know the answer, right? So after doing this quiz, this fun fact about the moon, I hope you learned something about the moon, learned some knowledge about the things that you've never known before. We talk so much about going to the moon.
Yeah.
So if we really had the opportunity to go to the moon, what would you do? If you can bring one thing to the moon from the Earth, what would you bring?
Well, I think I'd probably take a mooncake, and just go onto the moon, eat it, and watch the Earth.
Really?
Yeah.
So basically, like the thing you're
I'd-
doing on Earth,
Yeah.
eating mooncakes, watching the moon. Very interesting. And you know what? We actually did a quiz. We did an interview on the streets to find out different people's answers to this question. So let's take a look at what their answers are.
I'd bring some mooncake just to celebrate the moon festival.
I think I'd like to take a bicycle. That way I could ride around and explore the moon and just see all the different things that are on the moon. Then I could travel a lot further on a bicycle than I could if I could only walk around.
I will bring a bike with me because I really would like to.
If I was living on the moon, I'd probably want to start a garden to get fresh food. Then I could help other people with the food, like and gradually get bigger and bigger and have more food, more fresh food, because I'm sure up on the moon there's not a lot of food. Maybe open a nightclub so everyone can be happy and dance.
I think I would like to do a few things. The first is spill water on the moon to see how it reacts. If I can drink it, and if the water is flying and go away or just touch the floor. And also, I really would like to, for example, plant flower on moon floor and see if life is possible on the moon, if the flower can grow or just see the reaction of the life on the moon. I think I will shout out and sing on the moon because I think it could be very interesting to see how the sound and how your voice affect when you are to the universe on the moon, to see if the sound is the same or just different.
I want to look back at the Earth and take a picture. I hear that's pretty amazing up there. I hope I could see the stars from there. I'd love to go when on the other side, the dark side of the moon, maybe, and see the stars. I'd love to see the stars and the moon.
Welcome to the moon! Ah, look at us! Look at us! Woohoo!
Wow, and look at the Earth over there. Isn't it amazing?
Yes, we talked about so much about going to the moon.
Yeah.
Now we're finally here. Yeah. Remember in the beginning of this live stream, what did I say? Fly me to the moon.
Yeah.
See, we are here, guys. Okay, so guys, before this clip, I asked you a question. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna bring to the moon? Have you got the answers? So how about we start? Musa, what are you going to bring to the moon?
Because I think that after a couple of days, it's going to get terribly boring if I'm alone.
I'm sorry.
We just said that I think the atmosphere in the moon didn't quite carry the first bit of your answer. Could you just give us start again?
Yeah, I was saying that I'll probably carry a musical instrument with me on the moon.
Oh, really?
Because after the first couple of days, it's going to get pretty boring. So it'll be nice, playing a couple of melodies, probably waiting for some space station to rescue.
You'd probably be singing, "Fly me back to the Earth." Yeah, right? Yeah.
Okay. You play instruments, Musa. I didn't know that.
A couple of them.
Wow.
Just for myself.
Man of many talents.
But he got the face. Just when people they're actually very good at something.
Yeah, you can see he's playing it casual. Yeah.
Right. Okay, Baozi, what are you gonna bring to the moon?
Yeah, well, apparently I brought a moon car already, like where I'm inside. So I that means I won't have to worry about the pressure and the atmosphere difference. So I don't have to worry about that. And I want to bring a camera with me to take pictures of the Earth. And I mean, I'm often filming, so I make some vlogs on the moon to show when I have the opportunity to come back to show it to other people and not just enjoy it for myself. And take pictures of the stars and everything what I can see from up there.
How are you going to charge your batteries? Okay, but we don't need to worry about it.
Right. Charge it with the sun, the energy of the sun.
Right,
solar powered, yeah.
Yes, you got all the solar power in the daylight. Wow, very interesting. Yeah. Okay, so Ethan, how about you?
I think I want to bring my bird. I'm curious. First of all, I'm curious under the weaker gravity on the moon, how my bird can actually fly in what kind of way. And also, I think if without anyone's company, I would probably go lunatic without anything. So it would be great to have some company like my bird. Yeah.
You know what, your bird probably gonna survive because you remember the gravity, so you need to be very light, right?
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, I guess your bird will fly higher. Although there's not so much atmosphere for it to get its wings going. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it flies higher or not on the moon.
Yeah. I'm curious about that.
Sarah, what's your answer?
Yes, I wanna bring a good camera. Yes, when I have everything to survive already, a camera is very valuable. I can take all the photo and video. I want the amazing opportunity because traveling to the moon is probably the best trip a person can ever have. Yeah. Especially if we don't have to worry about survival.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about my answer. If I got the chance to go to the moon, I just bring coffee.
Yeah.
I need
Keep
coffee.
yourself awake, yeah? Yeah.
So, have you thought about going to the moon since you were a kid?
I guess I did when I was young. I remember, thinking, I remember reading stories about the early space explorers who first went on the moon, and but I think, it never was a real ambition of mine, but certainly if I had the chance, I'd love to go and see. And I'd especially love to see what the Earth looks like from the moon. You're often told that there are certain things that you can see from the moon. People say you can see the Great Wall of China from the moon. I'd like to see that for myself.
No, and I don't know whether you guys can see our background right now. Can you see us? Musa, can you see this? This is really cool, right?
Yeah.
So
It is definitely.
And there's because recently there's a popular movie in the cinema. It's about this man going to the moon, doing this space job on the moon, and he was left out on the moon. And I think this whole setting reminds me of every scene from the movie.
Right, yeah.
Have you watched the movie?
I don't think I have. No, I haven't seen that movie, but...
Are you talking about the Moon Man?
Yes, exactly. Did you watch it, Musa?
Have you seen it, Musa?
Oh, I still am lining up. I still haven't got the time, but I plan to watch it. The trailers have been pretty interesting.
Okay, I think you need to watch it. I think because China doesn't have that many movies about fiction, like space
movies.
So
right.
I think maybe this is probably the second movie, as I remember. The first one is the Wandering Earth. I mean, the movie is about space, but with fantastic visual effects.
Right. Okay.
But this, so the Wandering Earth is probably the first one, and the Moon Man. I really like the visual effects. I think it achieves the quality of international movie industries.
Right.
But you know what the best part is? You see Chinese on a space station because before we only see Hollywood movies, right? But like now we can see Chinese spacemen on the moon doing all this fantastic, and they really bring some Chinese tradition costumes in the moon.
Really, what kind of customs do they show on the
For
moon?
example, there's one scene I think that's so hilarious because this man who was left on the moon, he thought all his crews or all his crew were killed. So he tried to decorate this space station into a funeral hall, traditional Chinese funeral hall, with all these hangings, the paper cuttings and everything, and to pour the wine on the floor. But you're doing this in a space station on the moon. So I was laughing so hard because you're seeing some Chinese customs culture being bring to the Earth, at the moon.
Right.
That's the first time ever to see this. So yeah, I definitely would love to see more Chinese movies about the space.
Yeah.
And I think young kids, they will be inspired because when they see people from their race, their culture, their country, they feel related. So they will dream, oh, maybe one day I can be a spaceman. Maybe one day I can do this fantastic job as well.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen the film, but I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Yeah, it sounds amazing.
You know what? I think I got some comments from our viewers.
Oh, wow.
Let's take a look at those. Okay, I got several. There's so many. I will read them out as I promised at the beginning of this show. So first one is Jenny Deagle Torres from Facebook. She said, Moon Festival means family gathering and Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's true in China, right?
Yeah, I guess so. There's a bit of a link between Thanksgiving and Mid-Autumn Festival. They're both very much focused on family, yeah.
Interesting. And we got Jeb Atef. It's a greeting. May the peace and mercy of God be upon you. Greetings to you from Tunisia.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
You, so
Shout out to
nice.
Tunisia.
We got so many. Wow. Li Bak Huat from Southeast Asia, I guess. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival to all celebrating. May the moon surround and light your way to happiness, healthiness, and prosperity.
Wow.
Thank
Well
you
said.
so much.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. This is like, I was reading it and now I was wondering, should I read it out loud? Okay, Alastair, he said, this gentleman is so lucky because I want to go to the moon with Jingjing as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
He's right. I am lucky.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, maybe you should read it, but I don't know. Like, this like feels like I'm not taking this show to myself to give compliments to each other like we did in the beginning. Keep giving each other compliments.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's really good to see we have so many viewers from around the world watching this live stream, sending holiday wishes. And this person is called Summer Shine. I think it's probably from Facebook. I would take a Chinese lantern to the moon.
Yeah.
Chinese lantern. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I guess a Chinese lantern, I suppose it would float up more quickly, wouldn't it? With.
Interesting. We got so many viewers. So thank you so much who left comments here. I really appreciate your greetings to all of us. And we will definitely enjoy this holiday. I already got my plans. I don't know whether you got your plans for this holiday.
I don't really have any plans. I'm going to be staying in Beijing and probably just, relaxing with my daughters and my family. And maybe I'll climb a mountain or something, but I'll definitely tomorrow night I'll be watching the moon and eating mooncakes.
Oh, by the way, we have a big gala on CCTV and also on CGTN. So if you want to watch English gala, you go to CGTN, and also on the Mandarin television every year we have this major gala. Because
fantastic.
Yeah, not just Spring Festival gala,
Right.
Mid-Autumn Festival, we also have this. So
Wow.
You understand Chinese, and all of you understand Chinese. You can also watch this gala, right? We got a fantastic
And that's
show.
on tomorrow night, right?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
fantastic. I'll definitely have it on the box.
What about you guys? Do you have any plans for this Mid-Autumn Festival?
I'll be on the island partying.
Partying, yes. Okay, Sarah, you got any plans?
I'm looking forward to eating mooncake and sitting and talking to my friend and my family. Yeah.
Eating mooncakes, yes. Are you gonna make those mooncakes by yourself?
Yeah, never. Yes, never.
Okay, Musa, what are you gonna do?
I heard of an event that's happening in the city. I'll probably go there with my family tomorrow. Not related to Moon Festival, but quite a lot about food. And then just spend time with my family, relax. That's about it.
You have a baby, right?
Yes.
Boy or girl?
He's a boy. He's pretty young, 2 years old.
2 years old. Wow, you're gonna bring him to this celebration as well?
Yes, absolutely. We'll go together. I would have brought him right here to the moon as well.
Interesting. And he's a boy, so maybe he's into science and space, because I think boys tend to be very interested in subjects of the space. So maybe your son wants to be a spaceman. Oh yeah, continue.
Actually, one of the first words that he ever learned to speak by being here in Beijing was liang liang, which is like from Yue Liang, from moon.
Oh, really? Wow, that's so cool. That's the first word? The first word is not...
It's not the first word, but it's like one of the first words. He speaks like about 24 words, so it's like probably the second or the third word that he spoke.
Wow. Really cool. So, Baozi, are you going to travel to somewhere again? We are very jealous of your journey.
Yeah, no, next time I can take you with me to explore the different ethnic groups together. No, I'm actually here, like where I'm based in the Jiangsu province. I will probably visit, I will visit the hometown of my friend and celebrate with his family. But actually, half of my plans for the Mid-Autumn Festival are already finished, because it's not just about the day tomorrow, but like today and yesterday is also part of the festival, because we sent gifts like sungli, we sent different fruits, in the crabs, or you're being mooncakes to like friends and family. So these 2 days I was like driving around the city and feeling like Santa delivering presents. Yeah, and tomorrow I'm already like today evening already preparing for tomorrow. Yeah, we are going to eat a lot of hairy crabs.
Right.
Like,
You brought them to the moon as well. The first dajiaxia on the moon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So tomorrow will be a lot of eating and catching up with the family. So to say. Yeah.
Come on, we haven't eaten anything, and you bring this delicious crab and mooncakes to the show. Come on, that's so cruel to me. But that's very.
Yeah, I would invite you all to come to my place to celebrate together, but it's a little bit far away from Beijing. Yeah.
But you know, eating crab, it is a tradition during autumn.
Yeah, particularly in Shanghai and in the south.
Really?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
You love eating those crabs as well?
Dajiaxia on mid-autumn, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So, guys, how do you feel about this show? I hope after watching this live stream, you also learned something new about the moon. And I hope you will also have your way to celebrate this special family gathering, friends gathering holidays, because this is part of culture, our culture, as you mentioned before. I think people, when we still slowly moving to the cities and going along with this urbanization, people start to forget their traditions, their customs, and it's a pity. And I think it's important for us, at the young people, to continue to carry our traditions, right?
Yeah, I agree completely. I think Mid-Autumn Festival is a fantastic way to connect back with tradition, back with your ancestors, and feel part of the cycle of the seasons. So I also want to wish everyone a fantastic Mid-Autumn Festival.
So thank you so much for watching the chat room Mid-Autumn Special Edition. I hope you like it, and I hope you always dream big. One day, we will all go to the moon. Together, maybe?
Yes, hope so. So see you guys at the moon sometime.
And thank you so much, all the guys, joining us, joining this live stream from every part of the world. Your stories are fantastic. And I hope soon we all have a party on set, offline, party hard, dance hard, and celebrate a holiday together. So you guys being fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching the chat room on CGTN. Stay tuned with CGTN. We will continue to bring you more special programs on CGTN. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good holiday.
Bye-bye.